Hello traders, welcome to today's video. We have a very important video today packed full of lots of information, so please do make sure you stick around, watch the whole thing, hit that like button, show your appreciation, do subscribe if you have not done so already, and of course if you are new to this channel, please do check out tauruscrypto.com. The link is just up there in the top right hand corner. So in today's video, okay, today is a massively pivotal day on the markets. We do have the FOMC Fed meeting later on this afternoon, and we have a huge day for earnings. So we have Tesla reporting today. We have the big money companies, Visa and MasterCard, reporting today. We have the NASDAQ reporting, and we have crypto's nemesis, Robinhood, reporting later on as well. And then, of course, a little bit on into the future, we've got Apple and McDonald's tomorrow. So big days for earnings. Earnings season, volatility is here. It is a Wednesday, and we do have, of course, the Fed announcements, inflation. Will it happen? Won't it happen? What are the rates going to be? All of that kind of stuff. So a lot of juicy news to be giving us some nice price action here. So we are going to be going over that. We're going to be going over levels that we can expect to see both to the upside and to the downside. But first of all, I do want to cover some of the recent price action. Okay, so since we came up last week, took these stops at the highs and had that huge move down, we've had some really interesting price action, and we're going to have a look quickly at both what Bitcoin has done and also what the S&P 500 did, because this low very important. Okay, so we took the stops, we had a move down, and then what happened over the weekend is we started to put in this range here. And we were talking this through with the crew, okay? So I'm just going to take you back to a couple of screenshots within the crew community. When price was up at these highs, we started to see this bearish divergence form as we hit a daily level. Okay, so we did have, that's the high. That's as high as we go for now then, and then we were looking, I'd taken a little short, and we were looking to build some nice bullish divergences forming back below 34k in order to go long again. Okay, so we did have this short position on the Sunday night, which we were looking at. Now, of course, what happened after that is we had this, of course, big move to the downside. Okay, so this was and I'd just taken a scalp long from the basically this SFP of the lows, a very quick scalp long, but was looking for more downside. Okay, so what were we looking at? So we have, of course, Milord, one of our crazy legends of the crew, was talking about this 33,450 monthly naked point of control. Now, this was a level that we have been looking at for quite a while. I know Luxury was very keen on us seeing that level within his kind of higher time frame count. It was something that I was looking at, it's something that French Bull was looking at, and of course Group Confluence with the rest of the community looking at this level as well. So that was the plan for me too. I'd like to see it sweep below 33,500 at least. Okay, so we did want to see that move down below 33,500. What happened? We got that move down, hit the monthly naked point of control, and then of course we chopped around for a few hours after that. What we also got at that stage was we were forming these bullish divergences. So this was, again, what I was talking about. We had the CVD divergence up at the highs, and then what we wanted to see was the 4 hour forming these bullish divergences on the 4 hour chart with the RSI and the MACD. Now, this is fairly basic oscillator stuff, but I do really like the 4 hour chart, and that is what gave me confidence in order to want to build a swing position at that point. So price chopped around for a few hours. Okay, this is very typical behavior. Senti has recently coined this term, you wash them, you tumble them, then you dry them, and then you can get the reversal. And that is pretty much what we had. Okay, we had those 3 move spikes down into the low, and this very much being because with the heavy correlation that we have with the stock market at the moment, it was unlikely that we were going to see any major move until the US markets opened up. So we did come down here, we took this monthly naked point of control during the morning, and then we had, of course, the stop run, and then we put in finally that higher low just as the US markets opened. Now I'm just going to pull up Discord here because there was a very important entry trigger for why we took this long. Okay, so if I go on to just open up the Discord here, because showing you the screenshots so far, but this is the thing. We jumped into voice chat because this was just as at 2:30 UK time, UTC, when the US markets opened. And we'd seen that the SPX futures had taken, or the SPX, S&P 500 had taken the lows, but the futures hadn't, okay? So this was on the open. We had this move down, and then we were looking for the futures to take the lows as well on here. Finally, they did it. That gave us a really nice entry trigger on Bitcoin, which was able to pretty much get these lows with that entry trigger from the S&P 500 as well, also getting that bounce. And then what did we see? We immediately saw this really spot Coinbase, especially buying this up very, very heavily, and that gave us a lot of confluence, and confidence to take this as a long position higher up. Now, initially, we were only really looking up at this, the range point of control, and for this to kind of be a main take profit level. But very, very quickly, we found that we came straight back up. Of course, here's French bull, serious move in that, backed by volume, starts to look like the 5 is in. So again, group confluence here, the whole community kind of trading this together. And what did we do? We came straight into that weekly open and that daily open before getting a small retrace. And now, of course, price being way, way up, higher at these levels that we're now at today. So this was a really nice trade, managing to get that low into initially this point of control, then higher, and then of course leaving us, well, way above the range that we were in on Monday. So yeah, really, really nice trading. And we've actually had some good trades since then as well. We've had a couple of pretty decent short positions from that, just from, again, CVD divergences and things playing out. But it's looking strong, okay? And if we do go on to the lower time frames here, we can see that the momentum is still continuing, and we are looking still at higher prices. So after that really great reaction, we're able to get a couple of short positions. We're able to spot the divergence at the highs here and take a couple of little shorts. But overall, looking at a long right now and actually building momentum here. So you can see how it's just almost like a parabolic advance going on with the price right now. And I do believe that that is going to lead us to higher prices over the course of the next day or so, with the understanding that we are likely to get some volatility going into the stock market as well. So that's basically, yeah, from catching these lows down at that monthly MPOC and seeing this really, really nice bounce going on. So I want to also have a quick look. This is the macro chart. We'll have a look at that in just a second. But also the S&P 500, okay? And this was what gave us the extra confidence to take this long position in Bitcoin. So you can see this. It's looking very, very similar, okay? What has Bitcoin been doing over the past week? It's been just crashing, 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 and then had a really nice bounce. And that's very much what the SPX, S&P 500, ES, whatever you want to call it, has been doing as well. Okay, so what we had on this was we took liquidity at the lows, had a really good bounce, and then, of course, yesterday formed this higher low in order to now change market structure and are looking for higher prices. So it looks like a really kind of nice low here on the S&P. Now, these lows are back from last year, back from last October. Okay, so we did have this as basically some rising wedge type thing. You come down, you take out the lows, and then you're expected to get a bounce. So we are looking for a pretty strong reaction here on the stock market. If we're looking at resistance on here, I'd say you'd be looking around that 0.5, at least to kind of come up if you're looking at fib levels. But I'd say we're probably looking at a bounce around that kind of 4,500-ish kind of area and just above for this, as long as we can get a little bit of an uptrend going on the legacy markets. Okay, so of course we do have very big news coming out later. If that's negative, then we may see this roll back over. But if it's positive, I see no reason why we can't come back up into this area on the S&P 500. So yeah, that's I guess that's that from this. We'll go over onto, we'll have a look back onto the Bitcoin chart, and we'll just take a look at some of the really key levels that I am looking at. So first of all, we do have the levels that have been working really nicely recently are these naked points of control, and this for me is the main target to the upside. So if we are going to see continuation, I would like to see a move into this daily naked point of control. Okay, so that's coming in at 38,725. We also have a weekly level to be aware of at 38,220 or 38,221.5. So this is an area of resistance that I am looking at in the immediate future. If we can get this little bit more of a push higher before we get a retrace, at that point we do have 2 new MPOCs that are left below. So if we do go onto EXO here, we can see here is the MPOC above. You can see that's quite a big area. Okay, we're coming into that volume now, so we're starting to get into this area where we're likely to see some resistance, but so far it's holding quite nicely. At that point, I think that becomes a really key area. If you can flip that and hold above, then we are looking up towards higher targets, and I will just go over those in a second. If not, then I think a retrace back down at least to kind of 36,325, and potentially if we do get another wave of bad news across the legacy markets, or if we are just if we do start to trap a lot of longs up at this point, you're going to get the two things kind of going in tandem. I always look at the technicals first, but news is quite important at the moment because of the correlation that we do have with the stock market. So if we do get that together, trapping some long positions, getting a little bit of overconfidence back into the market, and of course if funding does start to turn positive again, right now switch tabs again. Right now it is very, very negative. So long positions being paid very nicely. If this starts to change, and if people start getting a little bit too bullish again, and of course if the stock market starts to roll over, then I would be looking, of course, back down at this NPOC below. I do think at some point we come back down there, but I don't know if it's going to be just a slight move up higher, or whether we're going to see quite a significant short squeeze off of this and then eventually come down and test these levels once again later on. So are we reaching a local high? Possibly. I do still have levels to the downside that I am looking at, but I'd quite like to see this reach a little bit higher before I am looking again at short positions. What else do we have on the chart? So those are the main local support and resistance. Okay, and of course what you can also do with that is just the typical stuff. You can pull your fibs depending on where this takes us. Okay, and then you may or may not have some nice fibs lining up wherever we have a local high. Okay, we also have to be aware of the overall what the point of control of this range is. Okay, so there's other things that we can do here. And then of course if we are looking at the year as a whole, and I do just pull this back over here, this is what I did start off with, we are coming into this value area low of the range. So this region here where we do have this last little high volume node before, so yeah, this area being our kind of main last resistance before we can start to look at a really kind of fast short squeezy nice move up to that 42k region. Now what we have higher up there, okay, is, I hope everyone's still following, I'm talking quite fast this morning but I hope everyone is following, and I hope this is making sense to everyone. So if we are to reclaim, or if we are to hit into this NPOC, still get a shallow retrace and continue, this is a bit of a parabolic advance that we have right now. If the stock market news is good today, and if funding remains the same, if shorts are still getting greedy and trying to like because of course they missed the lows, people are now trying to short this back down. The same people that were trying to long the whole way down on the downtrend, we're now getting a lot of people trying to short this. So if we can continue to squeeze short positions, there is a chance that we could see, if we can get through this area of resistance here, that we could see a very sharp move up into the area that I am looking at, which is around 41,800 to 42k. Okay, so that is our yearly point of control. We also have a weekly order block there. And on top of that, if we do go onto the macro, we can see just how important this region is. So I say 41,800 because that's the ultimate for me to be able to take like a nice short position, but that's up the top of this area of resistance. You can see macro, okay, this is our big kind of high time frame channel, which has got highs and lows really nicely. And then of course you can see historically you have resistance, you break through it, you kind of test it as support, not really, but then resistance again, support, support, support. If we come back up into this area, you would expect that to hold as resistance, at least temporarily, to get a pullback. Now, will that come back into just one of these NPOCs, or are we looking at maybe that full retrace back down to hit these lower levels and possibly even take out the lows before we can think about a longer, higher time frame reversal on this? Okay, so still early days in the recovery. I did release a video yesterday about how you can just be patient in here. I do think we're going to end up just forming a range around this area before we can look for either a break up or of course a breakdown, and things start to trend again outside of the range that we're in. So right now, price working on putting in a high of its range. I would like to see it at least come up into here. However, if everything's looking good at that stage and we're still trapping, or we're still getting people trying to short it, there is a potential that it could very quickly squeeze up into here between 38,800 and let's say 40k. There's really not very much. You do have, of course, 40k being historically an area of support and resistance, but I would say if we do take out this, you're either going to be hitting into that 40k region, taking out these highs, or looking towards this yearly POC and the weekly order block that we do have just above. Now, the only other thing I do want to check quickly on here is if, of course, we do pull this back a little bit further. No, we don't really need to be looking at any more upside, but of course there we go, we do have that high volume node coming in here, and if we are going to go even back further than that and we go to last year, then of course you can see the same kind of thing. Okay, we're coming up into these areas of volume, so this is this 40k region, and what we have is this as an entire range is you have the value area low of our entire range coming in at basically 40k. So that does give us, daily MPOC, 40k, which also conveniently some of these wicks down here that were acting as support. And then of course the yearly POC that we are looking at slightly higher, around that 41,800 region. So that would be the resistance. And then of course support, it really depends on where we end up. So how high do we go? At that stage, that will give us all the data that we need for the targets to the downside. However, daily MPOCs are a good place to start. And of course, below this level, I do have this marked as trap shorts on here. Now, that is because below here, we do have very high negative delta. So this is where, if there are like significant trap shorts, we are likely to see that area get a bounce as short positions that have been trapped try to just kind of get out at break even. However, if we are going to squeeze from that point, I don't think that becomes really very necessary, because I'd imagine most of these have already closed out of their positions. So yeah, that's pretty much Bitcoin covered. Everything else on here, we do have the TPO, we've got poor highs on the day, so we can probably expect a little bit higher prices on here. Overall fairly balanced. Okay, so we are finding good support within this region. Had a nice bounce here off of previous day value area high, And yeah, so far still looking at this getting some more continuation, continuing on with this momentum higher. We are in this local uptrend, and we'll see where that can take us. So I do think that basically concludes my Bitcoin analysis. I mean, that was kind of quite in depth. Anything on here to be aware of? So if we are looking on the order book, yeah, there's a bit of a sell wall going on up here. 200 Bitcoin. But again, nothing too significant. Books are still fairly thin, and there's not a whole lot of resistance above us. So I'd say, yeah, overall, you're waiting for the moment in which maybe the long positions start to get a little bit overconfident, and then we can start to look at that retrace. So plan for today is, yeah, trade it with the trend. Be aware that we are coming in up into an area of significant resistance, but trade it with the trend. VWAP important. Okay, so we're above VWAP. We are still continuing higher, but yeah, weekly level, MPOC above, trading it as a trend, and then once a high is put in, then that will give us our major targets to the downside. I do think that we do come back down at some point, but where that will be, we need to kind of wait and see. So yeah, I mean, that's 20 minutes of a video. So I think I've kind of done everything I need to. We do have, of course, SPX will be, if we do go back onto this chart, this is the futures. So we are looking, this is looking fairly strong. So it is looking kind of likely that we are going to gap up on the SPX today. So this was the gap we had yesterday that formed when it gapped down, came into the gap, and then got that retrace. We are looking probably to open just about that area, or possibly a gap up, in which case it's looking kind of strong, right? Okay, you've filled this, you filled this, and now it's looking back up towards higher targets. We do have gaps higher up on the chart here. So are we going to see a move up on the S&P 500 after open, and after we get that FOMC meeting today? Is the bad news already priced in? Are they going to try and calm the markets a little bit? Are we going to get a nice reaction off of that? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, an exciting day coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun to trade. Of course, if you are still watching this video, 22 minutes in, and you do want to trade this stuff with us, of course, you can go to toroscrypto.com. You can check out our website here. It gives you all the information that you need. You can join our free Discord community, and then you can also discover the Toros crew. Okay, so this is our membership, which gives you live trading rooms. We do trading rooms every day. We are going to be trading the New York Open today. So at 2:30 p.m. UTC, we are going to be trading the New York Open for the first 90 minutes of trading there. We have a ton of educational content as well within the community, and yeah, just a really nice, general, kind of friendly Discord, friendly people there. So if you would like to learn more about that, and if you want to kind of improve your trading and your technical analysis, of course, never any financial advice, because there never is in any of these videos, and there never is on the Discord. It is completely do your own research and educational purposes, but we do take a look at this stuff all together whilst you are there. So please do come and join us. Please do check that out if you have not done so already. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys. Bye.